Welcome back to another episode of the Weekly InSalt. My name is Wade Lassen. If you're just tuning in for the first time, which you shouldn't be, because there's like 293 of these things now.
293, man.
Yeah, I'm here, as always, with my co-host, Laura.
Hey, hey, hey.
And the Vice President of Sound.
Is it Vice President or Director?
I think it was
Vice Presidential Director.
Promoted him.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, did we?
Yeah, I think so.
Let's demote him again.
Okay.
Man.
I'm just kidding.
Nah.
Kurt Wallstrom.
How's it going?
And two guests in the studio today.
Yes.
We haven't done that for a while. One of them you may recognize, Mr. Dale McKeel.
What's going on?
Welcome back, Dale.
Yeah, welcome back.
Thank you for having me back.
We also have Josh Lundberg.
Hey there, how's it going?
Good, man.
Good.
Thank you for being here. Really appreciate it. I'm particularly excited about this episode.
Me too.
So am I. I've been looking forward to this for a month.
I talked to Dale a little bit before the show, and I said, this episode is really great because I think it's going to talk a lot about creativity and finding something to have a creative outlet with. And
Yes, we're talking. We've talked to you before on your acting stuff.
Yeah,
But this time you're wearing a different hat.
Definitely. It's different method of creativity here.
Yeah. I'm excited about this.
I'm nervous as hell about this.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm excited for the big reveal.
I don't know. That's just it. It's the big reveal. I've not done one of these, so.
So it's a little bit of backstory of how we ended up here for the listener. Curt, you commissioned a painting from Dale.
I did.
And for those of you who don't know, Dale, you've taken up a hobby on the side that's creating... how would you describe the paintings you create?
It is abstract pour art.
Pour art.
Yeah.
And
P-O-U-R.
yeah, when you
Sold
say
at $700 a piece.
yeah. It's for the poor people. That's why it's only $700.
So I've watched some of the videos on how you create your artwork, and what inspired me about it is that none of the pieces that you create can be replicated.
Correct.
They're
Correct.
all unique.
That's one of the things that attracted me to it.
Yeah, and that's why I chose to buy one, is because there's only one.
Yeah.
Terrified the crap out of me.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, so when you first started, did your first painting that you ever made just come out cool? You're like, sweet.
No.
Yeah.
No, not at all.
No.
Was there a tough learning curve there?
Did you keep it?
It was, I've got everything. Yeah. Everything that hasn't sold yet, I still have. It's hard for me to say this right now because I've learned through the course of doing the art that I can't judge what I create, because I may look at something and go, that looks like total garbage, but somebody somewhere has commented about how great they think it is or what they see in it. So especially when you're talking about abstract art, everybody will see something different. So the learning curve for me was getting past the judgment of my own work, number one.
Yeah.
But the bigger learning curve was learning the mixes of paint to pouring mediums and the different types of paints and the different mica powders that I use, and there's recipes for each one of those that if you don't get correct, what you end up with is a really muddled mess.
Sounds just like baking.
It is. It really is.
It is a science.
It's the difference between that, though, is that with baking, you have an end result that you're shooting for.
Right.
You have a particular bread or a particular pie or something that you're doing. With this, all I can do is get the recipes correct on the paint, use a particular technique, and then I have to let go of it. Yeah. Because what happens.
Sure.
And it's crazy to watch sometimes.
Yeah, and you have an Instagram that shows a little bit of what you do.
Yes.
What's the name of
that? The Instagram page is pour.yourartout. A-R-T.
Okay. I like that. Yeah, I like that a lot.
It's a cool Instagram page.
Yeah, there's one, and then that's Josh. I was just about to bring you into this because you created the piece for Curt, and then Josh, you ran into Curt working at what's it called? Pixels Photo.
F-O-T-O.
Yep.
Pixels Photo and Frame, or is it just Pixels Photo?
Either way.
Okay. Yeah, that's how I found it on Google. I need to find a frame shop, so I'm like, look this place. Well, there's another place that I found that I was going to go to, but they were closed. I'm like, well, now there's this place that's
We're
open.
the best choice.
So
we're actually one of Real Salt Lake's main framing shops.
Oh, no
really?
kidding. Okay.
We do a lot of high-end
cool.
stuff. So
Very cool.
Yeah, and just in the little amount of time, Josh, that I talked to you before we even started recording, I can tell that you really enjoy what you do. You love what you do, and you're not just doing a job. You're doing something. You're doing a service, and you want to do it as good as you possibly can for whoever comes in the door. And that's what I really appreciate.
Do it right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So that's how this all ties together for the listener is Dale created the art. Curt hasn't seen it. He dropped it off to Josh, and Josh was kind enough. Curt was like, "Hey, I got a podcast. Do you want to be on it?"
When I commissioned it from Dale, I asked Dale, I'm like, wrap it up for me because I haven't seen it. I don't want to see it until it's done.
Yeah.
And he knew that I was going to frame it. And because I told him, I'm like, I'm probably going to have it framed. So wrap it up and I'll just take it straight to the frame shop. I won't see it until I get it back from them. So that's when I ran into you. I went down there and dropped it off with you. And you were nice enough to wrap it back up for me.
Yeah.
So you're the only one that's seen it and seen it framed.
Josh is the only one that has seen the final product.
It's gorgeous.
Yeah.
It's gorgeous.
And I think it's really awesome of you to just like get a random customer in your store and then he's like, take this card for our podcast. We're going to do this. And you're like, heck yeah, I'm in.
Sure. Why not?
Right? It's weird how things end up the way that they are.
Yeah.
Should we save the big reveal?
Till when?
I don't know. When do you want it?
Whenever we're ready.
That instantly circled back on me.
Yeah.
Right, it did. It did.
No, we're not going to do it yet.
Okay, whenever.
How long did you work on Curt's piece, would you say?
Kurt's piece, God, I'm trying to think. So
it was a 20 by 20.
It's a 20 by 20 canvas.
5 minutes?
No. This was this.
And you used specific colors that I asked for.
Yes.
And you had to special order them.
I did special order a couple of the colors.
Okay.
Because I didn't have them. I kind of got an idea from what you were telling me and what we talked about about what you wanted, and I probably put a total of about 4 hours into it, and that includes the initial mixing time, the laying out the paint. Once it goes onto canvas, it's probably the time-lapse videos that you see on the Instagram page go by very quickly, but you're looking at 45 minutes to an hour there worth of time that's crammed into 17 seconds.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Once it goes onto canvas, it could take up to 45 minutes to manipulate and make sure that everything's covered and you don't have hair in it and everything like that. So,
yeah, that's true. You don't really think about that. Like the environment you create your art in needs to be somewhat clean of a clean area, so you're not getting different objects that just cause it. Because if that happened, you'd probably chalk it up as a loss or be like, dang it.
Yeah, you kind of do. I've learned now that you can actually scrape off and start over too. So it's...
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the canvas doesn't reveal anything. If you put in fresh coat on top, it doesn't really reveal anything underneath.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, but then you're wasting a bunch of stuff that you paid for. And sure, it's not a fun thing to do.
Have you ever
it's
tried
not.
anything with resin? Including?
No, I tried finishing with resin. Now I do a clear coat spray once it's dried. I like the look of it better. It gives it a shine, but not like a mirror finish. The resin is really, really difficult to work with, especially on larger pieces, because it's so heavy. It'll cause the canvas in the middle to sag. And so the resin, if you're working on smaller pieces, I will probably attempt resin again in the future, but nothing on the size of what I did for Curt.
I was thinking as I was framing that, it would be super cool if you could somehow put it into a frame, but recess it by like half an inch or so, and then put a thick layer of resin, like half an inch thick layer of resin, gives it that 3D depth, and have that all framed in there.
That was one of the reasons that I started playing around with resin to begin with, but it didn't work out on a couple of the pieces, and it was it's a very time consuming thing, and you want to talk about getting stuff in the resin. You get a hair that you don't notice in the resin, and it's stuck.
Yeah.
It's stuck. You're not getting that out.
We played around with resin in the workshop, and
I think whenever I watch videos about resin or like art, like you see those tables where it's like maybe two separate pieces of wood that they pour resin in the middle of,
and do different colors.
That looks super cool. And then every time I think about doing it, I'm like,
I
don't think I can do that.
No.
I'll do it.
Yeah.
Pixels used to do resin and acrylic pictures where we'd take a picture and then we'd put a thin layer of that on top to give it that 3D layer, and we stopped because you mess up once, get a little bit of hair, and you have to start the whole thing over. And in the end, it's not worth the cost. You're spending like $200 on something like that. It's like, no.
Yeah.
So when Curt brought the piece into you, what kind of questions do you ask when you're framing something?
So he brought it in, and I mean,
he asked me, he's like, "What do you want?" I'm like, "I don't know."
And I'm sure that happens a lot, right?
Yeah, my go-to is, "What do you want?" Because sometimes you get people who know what they want. There's that odd customer that's like, I want this and I want this. I know which frame. I want it from this type of molding. And you're like, okay, great. You did my job for me.
I basically left it open to him to decide whatever.
And honestly, for us framers, that is beautiful. That's
that
the
was
best
be my
job
next
you can do.
Yeah,
because you can just let your
framing
art
is art too.
It's 100%
absolutely
art.
It is.
And that's when the coolest pieces I've ever got are like that. I mean, we've gotten some from, like I said, we do some for Real Salt Lake. And so we've had some football players, soccer players come in and commission art. And the coolest pieces we've gotten from them because they just say, do your thing. And they have the budget.
Yeah.
I've got a picture at home of my brother with Secretary of State, if you remember him, Donald Rumble Rumsfeld. It's a picture of him with Donald Rumsfeld, and I had it professionally framed and matted and all that stuff, and it looks really good.
Yeah,
it looks really good.
You can do some fun stuff, and then you get really, really cool stuff on one hand, and then on the other hand, you have people who come in and just want a thin white or black frame.
Yeah,
and I mean.
Amazon.
Good for them. If they want to do that, they can do that.
Sure.
I kind of feel the same way.
Yeah.
If you're going to do that, get it off Amazon.
Yep.
But if you want us to do it, we'll do it for you. Right? You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I think that is cool that you get the option of people coming in and saying, I don't know what I want, so and that's cool for you because then you get to look at an art piece and say, oh, I think it'd look really cool with this.
It's so much
I'm sure
fun.
like 99% of the time that you just take your own creative freedom, people see it and they're just blown away by it, you know?
Oh, yeah. I mean, we have some cool pieces. We had somebody come in, I think probably towards the start of my working, probably around April or May, and they had this ancient scroll from Japan.
Oh,
it was
wow.
this sick scroll, and they had two of them, and they wanted us to frame them somehow. And so what I ended up doing was building these gigantic shadow boxes for them. And I had this suede black background on there.
Ooh.
And then we got some bright red ribbon and tied them into it so that if you want to get it out, you can, but it looks like it's tied in by that oriental red ribbon.
Oh, wow.
It turned out
That's
so cool. We get so many different cool things like that.
Is cool.
It's just a blast.
So when you're working with, like, obviously an art piece, you never know, like you said, like an ancient scroll from Japan or something like that. You obviously have some procedures to really make sure that you don't damage the artwork when you're working with
that's
it
the
as a
scariest part of the job by far.
Yeah.
We have white gloves. I always put them in very specific slots, and depending on how replaceable it is, we'll have them in certain areas. We have a safe that some pieces will go into. Practically all jerseys go into there because they are worth so much.
Yeah.
And then once we get them out, then we have our gloves on. We work very, very carefully on it. It's a blast, but it is very...
See, that's one thing I never would have thought about until having you on the show today, is that a framing place would need to have a bigger safe to store the pieces that they are framing. I would have never thought that.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, we had this piece in recently, and it was this hand-painted piece of an astronaut, and it was signed by all of the different people who worked on the lunar module.
Oh, wow.
Landing on the moon. And
That's
that thing
fantastic.
we had to put in the safe real quick because it's
absolutely.
one of a kind. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's
Ended up framing it really cool. I was a little sad on that piece because we only did a black frame, but it looked gorgeous. It was so much fun.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm a space nut. I would love to see that.
Oh yeah, I might have a picture on my phone. But
That's
I can show you
crazy.
afterwards.
With all the signatures too, like
Right?
Oh,
if that gets stolen or it gets lost,
Yeah.
you can't just be like,
it's
sorry, let me get
priceless.
you
Yeah.
another one. Yeah, you're not getting that.
Yeah.
You know?
No, those were one of those pieces where like, hey, so you need a sign here.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I would have never thought about that aspect of just framing. You know, not only the artistic aspect of it, but then just the security aspect of it, which totally makes sense because you're potentially framing, you know, even a family photo to that family.
Right.
It's a priceless thing.
Well, and that's the thing. I talk about these big pieces and these Real Salt Lake jerseys, But on the other hand, you also get somebody whose great-grandfather made a piece for them. And that is just as important to us. We'll put those in the safe because these pieces mean the world to them. It's the last thing their grandpa had for them, and you cannot copy that. And so we will keep that safe for you and put our extra touch on that. It's gorgeous.
Yeah, I think that just the idea of allowing that creativity too, even, and this is like, I feel like even more so that this does your art piece even more justice by having somebody like Josh do the framing on it, because not only is he respecting your art, but and you adding your own little element to it, but now it becomes a totally one of a kind, unique piece that only you have, Curt. You know what I mean? And it's like, I could have Dale be like, Dale, come on, try to copy it. Let's see if we can do it.
No way I could do it.
There's no way.
No way I could do it.
See, that's, I was going to say, there's framing, and then there's custom framing. Normal framing is you pick what frame you want, and you build it and you put it together. But with a piece like this, most people don't realize custom framing is a whole different thing. Once you see this piece, you'll realize what I'm talking about. But this is where you take multiple different types of frames and you cut them to size to make it more than just a square. You make it fit the piece specifically. Whether that is that you're changing the whole shape of the frame. For instance, I made a piece for a Millennium Falcon that I'm keeping up in my room, and the frame is shaped like the Millennium Falcon.
So
that's cool.
Yeah. That is really
so
cool.
That's custom framing, and that is the fun stuff. It costs a little extra, but it's so worth it.
Yeah, and I think that the frame can add so much to an art piece too. You know, just depending on the way it's framed, the colors that are used, it can add a ton of detail.
Makes it.
I actually have a question for Curt and you. When you dropped it off, did you talk about, because when you frame something, do you put fasteners on the back to hang it, or do you leave that up to the customer when they pick it up?
So are you talking about when you're putting it in the frame?
Like when you're finishing it, in order for Curt to hang it, there's either a sawtooth or a cable.
Wire-backed.
Okay. Did you guys talk about not doing that? Because
No, I'm pretty sure that there's something on there.
Okay.
I saw it.
The reason because you and I talked about it before. Whenever I do a piece, when I'm done with it, I will mark the center of every side on the back, because holding one of my pieces up a certain way, I'll see something.
No, it can go any direction.
But Curt can hold it and turn it different and see it differently. So I always mark the center and give them a sawtooth that they can put into the back however they see it, and they can hang it that way. Yeah. And I wasn't sure if you guys had that discussion or not.
You can easily unscrew the screws. And I've made the frame specifically, once you see it, you'll know what I mean, so that any direction it'll look good.
Awesome.
Yeah, cool. So you already like by default thought about that.
Because I'm like, I don't know which side it's supposed to be, but these are sick.
Yeah. That's cool, man. That's so cool.
I'm so excited to see it.
I know. I'm trying to decide how much anticipation I need to build.
I know.
And just so the audience knows too, Curt just drove. Well, you just had like a 10-hour drive, or
I did,
from Las Vegas today.
I mean, it's not normally a 10-hour drive. It's only 4.5.
Right.
So you didn't even
Maybe
go
5.
home. You just met us where we meet before we do the podcast.
Yeah.
And then
crawled into the bar.
Yeah. That's you crawled into the bar, and you're like, hey.
Right back. I haven't even been home yet.
Yeah. Yeah. That's. So I don't know. Maybe you should open it then. I mean, you've been waiting long enough.
I have. It's been a month.
I say let's do it.
I say let's do it.
You like
I want to see
Let's do it.
I'm
So
terrified, so let's go ahead and do it.
Yeah, wouldn't that be great if you just?
I'll preface it real quick by saying we did give you a discount, by the way, on this.
I appreciate that. I did see that, and I appreciate that so much.
I paid for some of it out of my pocket.
What?
Because get this. This is a piece that has about 4 or 5 different pictures worth of wood and framing in it, because it is a custom piece.
No,
it's
you
what I
didn't
call
need
a
to pay for
Franken piece.
anything.
It's super, super cool. Once you open it up, you'll see.
Dude,
but
I'm more excited to see his framing than I am the picture now.
3 or 4 different types of moldings.
Do you need me to stand up and help you
No.
open it
No.
or something? Okay,
No, I'm just
you got
gonna
it.
get into it. Yeah.
Okay, big reveal.
Should somebody be
big
videoing
reveal.
this?
I know. I don't have my phone with me.
Yeah, here, I'll give my phone to Laura.
I got it.
Okay.
Okay.
You have an iPhone?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll leave it at that.
Maybe I should stand up. There's
Remember,
not a
no
whole lot of room
pause.
back here in the sound booth.
Get comfortable. Get comfortable.
Get comfy. Open that up. All right. Drum roll.
Drum roll.
It probably makes it even more anticipation just because we just got done talking for like the last 20 minutes about it.
We package those things up so well, so
it looks
you're
very
going to need to rip.
Yeah, it is very well packaged.
Yeah.
I try to make sure that your kids can throw it down the stairs and it'll still look good when you frame it.
Yeah, because you never know, man. You never know.
No, especially with this piece, though.
You can verify that this is your original.
Yes.
I have not seen it, so.
I think I may have signed it, too.
You should. Heck yeah.
Did you sign it somewhere? That's awesome.
You can tell just by look on Curt's face right now that he's definitely excited.
He is very excited.
It's Christmas.
It's like
Early
7-year-old on Christmas.
He does look like that. He definitely does.
He's halfway through the wrapping.
Okay. We need to buy more time.
I know.
Wait, wow.
Right, here we go.
Here we go.
All right, there's that. Look at that. Let's see.
Well, if anybody does want to go get an item framed by Josh, I can definitely vouch for the fact that it is packaged in a very, very safe way.
It is definitely packaged well.
You might even be able to get away with putting that on a UPS truck somewhere.
I'm not sure I would ship art.
I guess it just depends on the piece, right?
Yeah.
That astronaut one that Josh was talking about? Nah.
No, definitely not.
So here's the back.
Oh, and just to mention, I put your sticker on the bottom, and the way that I ended up putting it was so that you could diagonally hold it, because that's the way I liked it.
Yeah, okay.
I never thought about the diagonal hanging. That is awesome.
Oh.
Okay.
That's so cool. All right, the final paper's coming off.
Here we go.
Doesn't the back already just looks so clean?
Yeah, it does.
And it looks like something that you've thought about, like you've done it, you thought about it. You didn't just slap it together. It's something that
No, I like the idea of hanging it on a diagonal, though. I would never have thought to do that with a painting.
At Pixels, it's super important to us to wrap it up clean.
There's the back side. Are we ready for the reveal?
Let's do it.
Yeah, do it.
Here we go.
I haven't seen this yet either. So.
Boom.
Oh, wow. Oh, that is so cool, dude.
Oh, I love the frame.
So you guys have probably already seen the picture if you're listening right now, but it is beautiful.
Wow.
Dude, that's the little touches you put in there. Perfect.
Whoa.
Uh-huh.
You colored the frame?
Yeah.
You did.
Oh, wow.
That is gorgeous.
That is awesome.
That
And
just...
the diagonal is so awesome too.
Oh, that colored frame just outside in between the black and the painting, that just made everything pop.
It does.
It gave me a vibe of looking down at Earth from space.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
That was exactly what I thought when I saw the finished part.
So did you painted the frame?
Kurt, let me see
those
your face
pieces
here,
of
bro.
the frame? Or?
No, I ordered multiple different colored frames.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
This is really good.
It is great.
Dude, I don't know what I expected, but it exceeded like every expectation.
Oh, yeah, mine too.
Yeah, we'll take a picture with the good lighting outside of the studio.
Yeah, definitely. Wow.
Dude, I'm blown away by
me
that.
too.
I didn't even expect that at all.
I didn't either. I love the creativity in the color frame, the pieces.
This
of
is
color
exactly
blast.
how this podcast like blows my mind sometimes because
Wow.
I'm sitting there thinking like, yeah, thanks for coming on. You framed this picture that Dale created. That would just be cool in itself. And then to see that like you literally enhanced the art piece but so much.
See,
What made you think to do that with the colored border?
So he came in and he asked for a frame. I'm like, yeah, I can easily give him this cool gilded frame or throw something on there
Right.
that's cheap. But I'm like, no, this is an important piece, and I do this with everybody's. I do my own little touch because this is something that's going to matter to them.
Yeah.
This is something that they're going to see every day, and you can go to a Hobby Lobby or Michael's, and no offense to them, you can go there and just get something framed.
Right.
Or you can come to Pixels and get something that'll last a long time. And I figured there's so many different colors to this piece. You can put a normal frame on it, or you can do what you do with most frames, which is you can dress the piece. Sometimes that's minimalism, sometimes that's maximizing the colors. And in this point, I saw the different colors that we had, and I knew that there were about 4 or 5 different moldings that we had many different colors out of. And I figured the best way to dress this is by matching the different colors with the moldings that we have. And when making something like this, as you can see now, this is what I meant by custom molding, because you have to measure everything just right, and you have to glue it just right. Otherwise, there's gaps in between each and every different piece of the molding.
So what I'm looking at, because I haven't gotten a close enough look at it, the colored border between the painting and the black frame on the outside, those are actually individual pieces. Each color is an individual piece that you've glued together around.
Yeah.
Wow.
So there is
Wow.
5 different frames, 4 or 5 different frames in this system. The interior part is a frame in and of itself, but the point of the black is to make it feel like it's been finished. If you're just to leave it with the colors around the outside, it doesn't give it a feeling.
It's like
of
an
conclusion.
extension of
The piece.
the piece
Yeah,
itself.
it totally is.
Oh,
That was
I'm
amazing.
totally post. I normally post the pieces that I do and the work that I do on the Instagram page, and I held off on Curt's for a specific reason. I wanted to make sure he was okay with it, number one. But now that I see that, I totally have to post that.
Now, if you're
my
not-
God, that's
You're not
awesome.
posting
Yeah,
it,
now if
Dale,
you're-
sorry.
If Kurt's not okay with it, Dale's posting it anyway.
I'm doing it anyway now. Josh, that looks
That
amazing.
It does.
man.
It does
that
look
looks
amazing.
Both of you guys did
Is
a
there
fantastic
multiple
job.
colors of blue in there, or is it like
So there's a royal blue,
Uh-huh.
there's a turquoise-ish blue,
Okay.
and then there's a dark green.
okay? See
Yeah.
that? Yeah.
Yeah,
I
both of you guys,
never would've
fantastic
thought of
job.
that.
I played
Fantastic
around
job.
with the idea of adding more colors, but they have maximalism, but it's less is more still
Yeah.
with that
Yeah.
system.
Yeah, it looks beautiful.
It is beautiful.
Yeah, that's something I'll keep forever.
I'm glad you
Yeah.
like it.
Aw.
And the frame
You're
will
very
last
welcome.
forever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Well, I know where
Does it
I'm going to get stuff framed.
Yeah. Dude, that is I don't know what I expected. I just didn't expect that, and it makes it so much more almost emotional, I'd say, because not only did you do Dale's artwork justice, I think that you helped make it into something that maybe, Dale, you didn't even think that it could be.
No,
It
that's-
adds so
that's,
much.
You seem really emotional, Dale. It's beautiful.
I've been soft today. I got a full disclosure here. Today is the 6-year anniversary of me losing one of my dogs.
Oh, sorry.
So
That's so hard.
Yeah.
I'm right there at the edge of my cup all day long, and this just that is amazing, Josh. I so appreciate you taking what I did and making it that much better. That is beautiful. I want that in my house. I want to buy it back, Curt.
Bring me another piece, I'll make another for you.
Okay. Well, I will. Yes, I will be. I will be linking you to my stuff as well. That's
For those wondering, that took 7 hours.
7 hours,
wow.
yeah. Okay, yeah. And that's 7 hours of a labor of love that you did, out just because you knew it meant
Amazing.
something. I mean, the frame means something to you when you're working on it, but as soon as that piece leaves your business, you probably don't ever see it again most times.
Nope.
And so you just
Which
really,
is why it's nice to see
yeah,
how the customer enjoyed it.
yeah,
It's fantastic. It truly is.
Oh. Did you expect anything like
No.
that? No.
No, because when I first got it back from him, he gave it to me. It's all wrapped up in all this plastic and stuff, and all I could see was the black border along the edge,
Yeah.
the top edge, and the bottom. I'm like, he just
crap.
put a standard black border on it. I'm like, for what I pay, I'm kind of disappointed, but we'll run with. No, this is fantastic. This is absolutely
I'm
fantastic.
amazed.
I'm amazed,
blown
too.
away.
I don't think I've ever seen a frame done like that before.
I've never seen something like that.
That's the mistake that a lot of framers make is they just frame it. They don't custom frame it.
Yeah.
And instead of realizing that you're supposed to dress the art, they just pop a frame on there and say, hey, that happens to look good.
Yeah.
But no, a Pixels photo, it's very, very important to us that we dress the piece specifically, whether that's adding a matte, saying specifically, hey, you shouldn't add a matte,
Yeah.
saying, hey, throw a liner in here. It's going to make all the difference for your depth. It's so important.
Wow. It's so crazy.
Wow.
I don't know why I've ever gotten anything framed in a regular cheap frame now. I'm second guessing like everything.
Maybe
know.
I'll send you some pictures from things that we've
Professional
done. You can
framing is
look at them or
is
post
an
them.
art in
Yeah.
itself.
I know.
for
I'm
sure.
thinking about having my Shea Stadium and
Oh my gosh, yeah.
the before and after.
If there's a piece that you like, a picture or a piece of artwork or anything that you like that's just blank or just by itself, get it framed.
Yeah, go see Josh.
I have prints of Shea Stadium and a print of City Field done sort of in watercolor. Now I'm thinking I might want to have those reframed.
Yeah.
I do.
I did
float.
Amazon frames, and now I'm really sad.
Here's
Do you
just
know what a float is? So what we end up doing, I don't know if that's the technical term, that's what we call it. So what you do is you take the piece and you flatten it out on a board of some sort. We have a dry mount board. It's a professional grade conservation board. And we pop it on there, and then you put wood or board behind it so it floats above the frame, and give it some shadow box depth.
That's cool.
And it just shows the piece, but it also shows the frame. So rather than the frame overflowing, you get the frame and then you get the piece. So you can decide what you want to focus on.
Wow.
That's cool.
Oh, yeah. I'm
That's
definitely
cool.
going to have those framed.
Well, I can't help it. I keep staring at this thing. It's
It's beautiful.
wow.
Bring it on over here so we can take a look.
Well,
I'll tell you what, we've
we'll
gotta-
go upstairs
Yeah.
when there's
We've
better
got to
lighting.
take a break anyway, so we're going to go absorb this painting, and we'll be
Yeah.
back in just a few
Wow.
moments. And we're back. The Weekly InSalt with Josh, Dale, episode 293. We just took the painting, the piece.
Yeah.
I guess I shouldn't call it a painting. Does
Artwork.
that discredit it a little bit?
No.
We took the piece upstairs and got it into a little bit better light, and oh my gosh.
Holy cow.
It is beautiful.
I told
Holy
Josh
cow.
he changed the way that
It's
I
not
think.
worthy for my 1949 house.
I don't know about that. The whole point is it's worthy for anyone, right?
Yeah.
That's true.
Wow.
Josh changed my perspective on the way that I look at framing something that means something to me. I didn't expect that. And I didn't expect the thought that you would put into that. And I commend you for that. And especially, I told Dale, I was like, I don't think I've ever seen you speechless. And
Josh changed the way that I look at my own artwork now. It's
Yeah.
just it was hard for me to look at that and think that was what I did, because you took it to a whole new level, new level. That was outstanding.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Outstanding.
Beautiful piece.
yeah, I didn't expect that at all. One thing that I did want to bring up, though, since this episode is pretty much about being creative and creating things that you enjoy and a creative outlet. Josh, you love woodworking, right?
I love it.
Have you always done it?
Since I was 14.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So
I was
yeah.
14 and I loved electronics and video games and original arcade systems since I'd been given a Sega from my older siblings. Sega Genesis.
Yeah.
Specifically.
Yeah, I had a Sega Genesis. I loved it.
I had it.
Yeah, I fell in love with it, and I'm like, you know what? I could probably make an arcade system. And so my first experience with woodworking was building an arcade out of 2 or 3 sheets of plywood.
Yeah. You know what's so weird about
wow.
that, Kurt?
What's that?
Are you listening, Curt?
No.
I'm kind of preparing for things later, but yeah.
Josh built a full-size arcade system for his Sega Genesis.
No shit, so did I. I don't have any pictures or anything, but yeah, my work, what I do for my full-time job, they asked me and a buddy to build an arcade cabinet,
That's awesome.
and we did, and he designed it. The other guy, he designed it. He provided all the electronics and whatnot, and I did all the woodwork and the painting. So
That's so cool.
it
Wow.
turned out so good.
One thing I love about arcades is because you can do the electronics too, and I love working with
Yeah.
electronics.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool.
I'll send you. Next time I'm at the office, I'll
Do it.
send you a picture.
I'll have to send you a picture. I just recently finished this pinball machine. It's a digital pinball machine.
I
It
bet
has the buttons
awesome.
along the outside, giant TV, and then I
I
coded
love
it so
pinball.
that with the game, there's a tiny monitor in the top and speakers, so the monitor will show what you're doing along with the normal LED board and RGB board and everything.
No,
Wow.
that's kidding.
Wow.
Yeah. We might need to put some LEDs in a frame or something. You know what I mean?
I've done it before, and it looks so cool.
It does?
It looks
Okay.
so cool. We
Okay.
had this lady come in with a piece from Africa, and it was this knitted piece of an elephant. It was brown, and so we put these LED lights around the outside of a shadow box, put it right against the glass, and then put a piece of white board between the two, a
Yeah.
thin piece, so the light will show through, and it just makes it glow gold. It's
Oh,
Wow.
that's
Wow.
cool.
Wow.
Man, I have so many ideas.
Right? Right?
You're inspiring me, Josh. Stop
Yeah.
it. It feels
fun.
weird.
I want a pinball.
I
I
know.
love pinball.
You do.
I
yeah.
want to get one for my basement.
They're
I
fun.
I'll
if you
make
like wood-
one.
Will you?
You
Okay.
get the wood, I'll make it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Happy to.
Oh,
All right.
geez.
In.
Wow.
I'm in.
One thing that I've started doing recently is just jamming with a few people that play music, and just having a different outlet like that, I think has helped. It's such a stress reliever. It's so nice to do something outside of my daily routine, and I think, Dale, isn't that originally how you got started?
Yeah, I found, well, we got to go back a little bit here. Everything that I post about like acting and the art and all that, I get people constantly asking me, how did you get into that or whatever? And it's just, I've always had an underlying need to create.
Yeah.
And you said inspiration earlier.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Josh is inspiring you. And a lot of times, it's sad for me a lot of times because people don't have a way of finding out what inspires them, what they're passionate about. And the first question I ask them is, what do you think about when you're not thinking about anything?
Yeah.
What's the first thing that comes into your mind? You know, because that's something that you want to invest in exploring. And I've wanted to be an actor since I was a kid, and I've been pursuing that. It hasn't been an easy road, but it all came down to being a creative. And it's only over the course of the last probably 5 to 10 years that I've just fully embraced that, and I will never do anything else. Yeah. I'll do a day job because I'll do what I have to do in order to do what I want to do.
There you go.
Yeah. Yeah, you're supporting what you want to do.
Absolutely.
That's how you should live.
Because everybody needs to make money. Let's not forget that. You still got to pay bills to pay and things.
Absolutely.
But you shouldn't just live to live, right?
No, because I'm not going to be 65 years old and say, you know what, I wish I would have done this. I wish I would have done that. Because to me, that is the biggest regret anybody can have in their life.
If you don't have stories to tell, you're doing it wrong.
Absolutely. Yes. Yes. 100%. 100%.
Yeah, and I mean, in a previous episode, you can go back and look at the specific episodes with Dale. We talked about, I actually attended a movie that you acted in the movie theater. How cool is that?
That's so cool.
Dude, he was like, we're going to have to go to it during the middle of the day. You're probably working. I'm like, I'm there. and I think you asked me, like, thanks for coming. I was like, no, man, I don't think whenever I get an opportunity that's like, and of course I know you're my friend, so it's probably not once in a lifetime, but it's so outside of any situation I thought I would be in. I'm like, I'm definitely gonna. This gnat is driving me nuts.
It's dead now.
Thank you.
Was it?
I got it.
Yeah, he Mr. Miyagi.
There's another one.
No.
Okay. So
There
was it
must be a
weird
couple.
seeing him on stage? On the
You know
screen?
what? It invoked this emotional response in me that I didn't expect, because Dale was like, I'll tell you when I'm on screen. It was a very pivotal moment of the movie that you were acting in, but it was a very short part of the movie.
Yeah.
So Dale leaned over and he's like, it's coming up right now. I said, okay. Seeing him in the movie theater and his name in the credits, I was like, it was kind of like tonight where I didn't know what to expect. And then once I saw you on the screen in a movie theater, I was like, yeah, do I know that guy? You know? And it was like almost like, just in a weird way, I was super proud of I don't even know the amount of effort you put in there, but it didn't matter to me in that moment. What mattered to me is that I was there seeing that, and you've worked so hard to do it that it was emotional for me. I'm like I feel for how hard you've worked to get there, even if it was a 10-second thing. And that's kind of what happened with Josh tonight, is I didn't know what to expect. When I saw it, I was like, oh, you just didn't throw a frame on this thing. You sat down and you thought about it.
Yep.
And you put in like true thoughtfulness, not just it might be cool if I put a couple colors on here. You thought about it. You looked at Dale's art Instagram. You went through there trying to figure out certain things, and then you show up tonight, and I'm like, whoa.
They were just such intentional thought behind the way you did it, and that's what makes it so fabulous.
It comes down to, you can see from looking at that piece what you did to it. You can see your passion.
Yeah.
You can see your passion for it. And that always inspires me. Anytime I am around anybody that is passionate about what they want and what they're
I
doing,
saw your
creating
passion,
something like
Dale.
that.
Oh yeah.
I did too.
When I just saw that video that
was
you sent me a month ago, the
so
first time
cool.
I saw that, I saw that video and I saw your passion, the way how you turn that.
If people haven't seen it, remind us what the Instagram is.
The Instagram is pour.yourartout. And I put videos on there about they're time-lapse videos, how I create the art pieces.
Yeah. You should go through and watch all of them. They're sick.
Josh kind of freaked me out because right after Curt dropped the painting off to Josh to have it framed, he told me that he had dropped it off to have it framed, and all of a sudden I had like this guy named Josh. It was 32 likes in a row on my page. I'm like, who is this guy?
I can't help it. His videos are so cool.
I appreciate that. I called Curt. I'm like, what was the name of the guy you dropped it off to? Was it Josh? And he goes, yeah, I think it was. I'm like, okay, now it makes sense. But it was fulfilling, very fulfilling.
You know, I think that a lesson too is creativity comes from passion a lot of times, and building that passion. It's really easy to look at something on the internet, and Dale, like, by no means am I discrediting your Instagram account or anybody else's for that matter, but it's a different type of viewing passion when you see it through a screen. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like being here in the studio tonight, there was an energy. When I saw that, I think we were all kind of taken back for a minute to see the final piece and be like, now I have a different respect for the amount of time Dale put into it, the amount of time Josh put into it, and it created this one thing that Curt gets to take home.
Yeah. I know, like, I'm jealous.
Yeah, it's like, wow. Yeah. Wow. Mm-hmm.
It's mine. You guys,
it's
mine.
I know where you live. I'm going to steal it. Give it back to Dale. Just kidding. But I think that's an important thing to realize in that moment is that if and I'm sorry if you see videos of this reveal online or you just see the picture on social media, it's going to be hard for me to convey through the microphone into your headphones or your Bluetooth speaker.
Yeah.
The energy we're feeling, but
we're all smiling.
Yeah, chase that. That's what you should chase.
Yeah.
And even if you have a day job that you're not happy with, find something that when you can give to somebody else, or you can be creative enough that makes you feel that energy, the energy of you're just blown away with the fact that people can come together and make that happen. Follow that. That's what you should follow.
Yeah, absolutely.
You say follow that. It's interesting because I've learned that passion, inspiration, and happiness are not a destination, they're a direction.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree.
And as long as you go in that direction, you'll get that.
Yeah.
The result, what Curt has in that painting, what resulted in what I did and what resulted in what Josh did.
Yeah.
Josh had a vision in his head what he did, and I just kind of had to let it go. But it came together in such a beautiful piece. Oh my. I'm sitting over here trying to figure out what to say because I'm dumbfounded by the whole thing.
Yeah.
I really am.
Yeah, and we talked a little bit before about like woodworking. Obviously, Curt, you're huge into woodworking, and you've always been that way. Like, what attracts you to just building things?
It's probably just the fact that I take my mind off of other things.
Things, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I have a full-time job doing things that I enjoy and I hate at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, work will always be work to pay the bills, right? You know? Yeah. And I think, Dale, you made a great comment before the show when you said, I hesitate turning my art into a business because I feel like if it becomes a business, it takes away the thing that you like about it, which is just creating the art. You know, now you're all of a sudden monetizing off of something that you just did for fun.
There's a fine line to be drawn. I mean, I think there's a general thought in society that your ultimate goal is to find something that you have a passion for and being able to make money off that. You know, that's in a capitalistic society, that would be the goal of everyone. Mm-hmm. And I see that standpoint, I see that perspective of it, but I also know that if I started doing these art pieces because I needed something to divert my mind off the fact that things were so slow for me last winter, and I could feel this weight of pressure on me. So I started creating this stuff and I started posting it. And all of a sudden I started getting these messages of people wanting to buy the stuff. And I never intended that.
Right.
This was just for me, an outlet down in the basement, listen to the Lady Gaga channel and down there, dancing my butt off while I'm making these pieces. And I really, really have to... I would like to be able to monetize it to a certain extent, and I do to a certain extent, but I don't want to make that the focus, because then it goes from creating an art piece to creating a product for someone to buy.
Right.
And I don't want to lose my passion for that in that.
Yeah. And I think that, Josh, you're a rare one, because in the sense of you found this opportunity to do woodworking in a way that you love, but at the same time it also pays your bills, and you're still just so passionate about it. And if you're a testament to anybody else you work with, then that's a rare thing to find in people.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of times I think the daily grind gets to people, and you get complacent or you get tired, and you're like, I could go the extra mile, but I don't know. I'm sick of going the extra mile, And
Josh is a phenom to me because you love what you do.
I love it.
you love what you do. I mean, you get in there and you think you can see it in that piece.
Oh, absolutely.
You can see it in that piece that you took the time to look at it and wanted to enhance it. And in general, how many people do you guys know in your lives that can say they absolutely love what they do for a living?
Yeah, not many. I know Josh.
I used to love what I did for a living.
Yeah, but somewhere it gets beat down. It gets caught under the grind.
Yeah.
And you have to maintain a focus on something creative, something that gives you an outlet.
Mm-hmm.
What was that?
If you can't find value in what you're doing, you're not going to like it.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I think that's why I bake. I don't bake just for me. I bake so I can give it away.
I was going to bring this up before the show. You mentioned that. That's my hobby is baking. And I was like, you know what? You're a great baker, but I think you get the enjoyment out of giving it to people.
I do.
And see them take that bite, which is I guarantee you talk to any like Michelin star chef, they love to cook, but they get more enjoyment about watching people be happy eating their food.
Yeah.
You know? And Josh, you said something on the break that I think is indicative of anybody who's passionate about their work. You said, I can still see a few things in there that there's still some things in there that I'm not going to tell you about. And I'm like, hey man, it's just like when I play drums and I mess up on playing drums live, I know it's like eats at me. But then after the show, people are like, you guys did so good. And I'm like, what, you didn't notice my mistake? They're like, what mistake? You know? And there's a part of following your passion that you're always going to be a little bit critical about, you know? And my mom, she does great watercolor paintings, but almost everyone I've gotten from her, she's like, I don't know. I could have done this a little better. And I'm like,
Dude,
they are
your,
beautiful.
Your mom's an amazing artist.
Yeah.
She's phenomenal.
I'm
think
so
on that same
excited
note,
for you to
though,
get those framed.
That's what makes it so amazing, isn't it?
No, I should.
That's what makes it the human element rather than just having somebody print off a picture.
Yeah.
It's that it has a flaw.
Yeah. And those things give it character.
Those things make it unique.
Oh yeah,
because looking at the painting that he's got that Curt has sitting upstairs right now, I'm looking at it and I can see the flaws. I can see exactly where the flaw is, and I don't
see any flaws.
And I know what
happened.
happened.
You're talking about.
That's just it. I see it because I created it. But
your own worst critic, right?
If there were no flaws, it wouldn't be anything.
That's what makes it unique and a one of a kind.
That's why you watch something like American Pickers, right, on TV, and they're like, man, you can't find things with this patina. And they call it patina, which is
rust.
Which is a really cute way of putting into words that this thing has a story behind it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like this particular item has been places and done things, and that's the cool thing about American Pickers is even if it is rigged or not, that's beside the point. It's the fact that they're more interested in the story.
Well,
than
that's
the
what
item.
life's about, isn't it?
I agree.
It's about creating stories, building things, coming together.
That's why I thought the funniest T-shirt that I could ever make, is a T-shirt that says, you can't wear memories. Because
that's true.
You're wearing it while you're creating all your memories.
You
know?
That'd be awesome.
And then, it's kind of like that. It doesn't make sense. It makes sense, but it doesn't. I'll tell you what, I'll never forget that reveal. That was the craziest thing. That was so unexpected tonight.
It was very unexpected.
I got nothing else. I got nothing else.
So you are not only, Josh, you're not only interested in woodworking, but also electronics and things like that.
Yes, sir. I went to college for a little bit in computer engineering.
No shit.
Okay.
CIT engineering.
That's awesome.
Curt coming
I loved
from
it.
the court. So I do software development. I have a bachelor's in computer science.
And I do network engineering.
Yeah. But I never really got into the electronics side of things. I was always just fascinated by, I can type in these very specific words in a different language that you have to learn, and then it does stuff. That's cool to me. But I always kind of wish that I would have spent more time doing the electronic stuff. I made the joke before the show, and I really kind of feel this way, that if the internet disappeared, my job has nothing to show for it.
Well, we're gonna talk about something really cool on Kurt's Corner. So
Oh.
whenever you guys are ready for that.
Was that your segue?
Is that?
I don't know. Is it?
Let's make it the segue.
All
Ready?
right. Kurt's Corner.
Kurt's Corner.
He hates this.
Kurt's Corner.
I do.
Corner.
I think this is a waste of time. But.
Kurt's Corner.
Kind of gave me like some weird chills for some reason. But.
All right. So I got a couple of things that I wanted to talk about. The first thing is it has a lot to do with what you guys do is in the artist field. But do you guys know a guy named Jens Hansig or Hanig?
No.
Okay, you probably wouldn't, but he's overseas, of course. But he's a Danish conceptual artist whose work focuses on the power and inequality of that was commissioned by the Museum of a Modern Art.
Okay.
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 So the museum commissioned him to provide a painting or an artwork, should I say, of money that they would provide to him to create a piece of artwork or recreate a piece of artwork that he did back in 2021. Okay. So up here, if you look at the screen, there's a piece of this. Here's a picture of that artwork.
So it's money.
Yeah, it's just money and.
Not nearly as cool of a frame. I'm just going to go out there and say it.
Yeah, that could have been framed a lot
It's a
better.
thick frame, though. Look at
It
that.
is, yeah. It is thick frame, yeah.
So they asked him to recreate this piece of art, and it's supposed to represent something. I read about it in the article, but I can't find it. But so the artist agreed to recreate it for him. But it cost the museum about $76,000.
Wow.
I would argue that there's a lot less than that in the actual piece.
Well, this is actually representative of 532,000 kroner.
Okay.
Which is the local currency in Denmark. If you don't know where Denmark is, it's just north of Germany. Okay. So what makes this story unique is that Mr. Hanig, he, instead of him creating this replicating this piece of art that he did, he turned in 2 canvases that were blank. And they were titled, "Take the Money and Run."
That is funny.
That is funny.
When I went to New York, I went to the Museum of Modern Art, and there was a lot of really cool things in there. There's a lot of iconic pieces that you could see. But then every now and then you'd turn the corner and it would be this canvas that has some oil paint on it that was just like a fade from a gray to like a blue.
Right.
And the whole canvas was like that. It was just a gradient. And I'm like, really? And I felt bad because I'm like, art is art, right?
Yeah.
And there's always something to find from it. But I'm like,
so
man, I could have done that.
More on this. He says, Mr. Hanig says, the work is that I have taken their money, but it is not theft. He says
That's like some fringe art stuff.
It is a breach of contract, and breach of contract is part of the work.
Huh.
That sounds like an excuse.
Yeah.
Wow, man. That's a powerful.
Wow.
And he never got a contract again.
Yeah.
But the Denmark courts have ordered him to repay the $6,000.
Still funny
Take
joke.
the money and
That's
run.
when you move to America.
Take the money and run.
Right.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty funny.
That is funny.
Why didn't I think about that when Curt called me up about this?
I know.
Jesus.
It could have
Instead
been
of making
such
a frame, I could have just gotten the money.
All right, so more further on, this is kind of a different piece of art, if you ask me. But Josh, you just mentioned that you do something in computers,
Correct.
right? So who knows what Cloudflare is? Raise your hand. You know what Cloudflare? No, you guys don't. Okay.
Not a clue.
What is Cloudflare, Josh?
It has something to do with networking, doesn't it?
Okay, okay, that's close enough. Okay, so Cloudflare does 10% of the internet's traffic,
That's right.
and they encrypt that traffic to keep the websites that run through their network secure.
Okay.
And they encrypt that traffic using lava lamps.
Really?
What?
Isn't it? I thought I read
Okay,
about
so I
this.
think I've heard about this. A lot of them, right?
A lot of them. They have about
them.
100
Quite
of
a few.
them. Yeah, so they have a wall of 100 lava lamps that's in their office in San Francisco. And they have a camera that's pointed at these lava lamps. And the camera will take a picture in intervals, including the ambient lighting and whatever the lava lamps are doing in their gloopy state or whatever it is. And the image is converted into random data based on the pixels of the image.
I actually think I saw a documentary on
Really?
Yes, and that random data is used to create an encryption key.
Wow.
So there's
That's sick.
there's a video on this.
So it's constantly evolving and
It is.
constantly changing.
It's always changing.
Non-replicatable.
Which, I mean, think about that in the world of security. we all know two-factor authentication, right? You have that app on your phone that generates a 6-digit number that you have to type in when you log in. It lasts like 90 seconds or less.
So here's a video that I found that talks about this. We won't go too deep into this, but yeah.
We videotape these lava lamps and take the pictures and the video and turn it into a stream of random unpredictable bytes. And this unpredictable data is what we use to help create the keys that encrypt the traffic that flows through Cloudflare.
Hash.
Wow. This data is then fed into our data centers and then fed into the Linux kernel, which then uses it to help seed random number generators that are used to generate keys.
And now we just lost 90% of our audience.
No, I think that's fascinating.
It is.
Absolutely
I thought it was
fascinating.
cool. When I first read about this, I'm like, that is absolutely amazing. The fact that you're using lava lamps from like the 80s or the 70s or whenever these things came out. I thought it was really cool.
Really brings the human factor in.
You know what? This is a perfect example of what engineers or developers will do when they want to make their work more exciting. Because the listeners couldn't see the screen, but at one point he's like, this is what it creates, and it's a bunch of jumbled numbers and letters that mean nothing to anybody except for the system those numbers end up at. And when you extrapolate that into lava lamps, you're like, oh, okay.
Just do a Google search for or not Google, but a YouTube search for Cloudflare lava lamps.
You can just look for the lava lamps that help keep the internet secure.
Yep.
Or at least 10% of it.
Yeah.
and then also feel bad about the fact that lava lamps are keeping your internet secure.
Well, at least they're getting used for something.
That's true. They have kind of fallen off lately.
They have.
I don't know why, man.
I guess that means I need to use lava lamps in my art somehow.
Do you think we can make a lava lamp frame?
You could shadow box a lava lamp.
Yeah, I actually like that idea. I love it.
And then it's just constantly moving and changing.
Mm-hmm. You know what? One thing that this is so dumb, but as a kid, my grandma had one of those I don't know what to call them. Basically, it's a picture that hangs on your wall,
art.
and when you flip it over, the sand art, and then the bubbles go up and change the way. I love those things. I asked for that for Christmas this year, dude. I really did. Maybe I'll have to see if the frame is adequate enough. If
one
not,
of those
I'll bring
things would be so cool to frame.
Yeah, I'll bring it to you, and like maybe we make it a freestanding frame or something where you can just flip it over anytime.
Well, what you can do is we have these things called wall buddies, and they're essentially just little clips that clip onto the wall. You could put them on both sides, and then you can just flip it and put it back on.
Oh, I love it.
That's a great idea. Oh, that's a great idea.
I didn't
get a different piece of art every day.
You would.
I didn't know that I needed someone like Josh in my life so much till today.
Thanks for creating art.
Yeah.
Thanks for taking it to the frame shop.
Crazy.
Wow.
I think it just goes to show you that you never know. You never know who you'll run into or what things might happen.
You don't.
Until you try. Don't be scared.
Got to get out of your bubble.
Get out of the bubble.
Get out of the bubble.
It's scary. I'll admit it. Getting out of your regular routine is a little bit scary. And sometimes you might not find what you think you'll find, but that doesn't mean it's bad.
Going into a basement with some random guys.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. I'm a girl.
You can't. You're the equal opportunity girl, just to make sure it's more safe. You know what I mean?
Josh said, get outside your bubble. That is where the terror is.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But that's where the biggest payoff is.
And the stories.
When Curt was unwrapping that thing, I was terrified.
I think, Josh, you were a little bit nervous too.
I haven't seen it for weeks.
But it all came out.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It all came out.
Yeah. Yeah, and you know, you made a joke, which is funny, but that's the thing that I struggle with a lot with the podcast, because I'm like I've told the lady at the bar, I was like, if you read somebody's ID and it says Josh, then point us out so that he's not just aimlessly wandering around, you know. And she did, which was great. And then I still have to convince you that we're actually doing a podcast, and the studio happens to be at my house
in your basement,
and we promise that we won't murder you, even though kind of being in here with the sound foam and everything kind of feels like a murder dungeon.
Yeah, but there was no plastic on the floor, so we're all right.
True.
Yeah. Maybe he
as long
was.
as there's no red splotches.
Right.
And then, you know, I'm just a really nice person anyway, so I was telling Josh, I'm like, hey, we're all going to carpool up together and end up back here anyway, or you can just follow us. I don't want to sound like a really creepy Tinder date.
Give him the option.
Yeah.
Come sit by me.
But thank you so much for being here tonight, and for taking part in this experience. I call it an experience because
me too.
Absolutely, it was
no clue where it was going to go, and it turned out somewhere totally different than I thought, and I love it.
Time just flew.
It did.
I am so grateful to have met you and to have you have been the one to frame that piece.
I'd love to do more of your pieces. They're just all unique. That's the beautiful thing about art.
Oh,
I love that you say.
I love you.
Kumbaya.
I love you. Where's the guitar? We're going to start playing. Get around the campfire.
I love that you say that too, because the fact that you embrace that his pieces are all unique, Josh, means that every time you get one, it makes you need to think about how you're going to frame it.
Yeah.
And I think that's super
fun.
cool.
Mm-hmm.
That's the fun part. And that's kind of why we do this.
Mm-hmm.
We never know what's going to happen, and each show is a little bit different. And I thank all of you for listening. I hope it sounded like you were in the room with us tonight and just hanging out and having a good discussion.
The world needs more of this.
Yes.
It does. Yeah. You know
More
what?
of this.
Call somebody right now that you haven't talked to in a while and just talk to them.
Yeah.
Don't send them a text message. Don't be lazy. Call them and just say, hey, I just want to talk for
I
a
was
minute.
thinking about you.
Yeah,
I think that's important.
for sure.
Do it now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do
For
it now.
sure.
I hope you all have a great week, and this has been your weekly insult.
Oh, that was fun.
Dude, well done.
Wow.
10 out of 10. Woodrick.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is just.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
It is a work of beauty.
Whoa.
And I can